So almost all college students commute by some type of vehicle. Typically the vehicle is like a car. So the situation with vehicles being everywhere is just not getting any better at colleges. I mean, I took a statistic from the National Center of Education, and they showed that colleges in the 1990s enrolled about 14 million students, while currently 20 million students are now being enrolled in our colleges. Living in California, I'm sure many of you know, it's not really, colleges aren't really in a position where you can walk to school. All of us basically have to take some type of vehicle to get there. But why deal with the hassle of all the cars when simply you can ride a motorcycle? Riding a motorcycle has always been looked down upon as the rebel's ride. Many people completely shut out the idea of riding one simply because it's extremely dangerous. But I'm going to tell you exactly what you're missing out on, and also some things that people are just misled to believe about motorcycles. A motorcycle is a perfect device for transportation. I mean, you can save gas, you can drive through traffic much quicker, you save a lot of room compared to a car. So even though you might, I'm sure many of us can relate to the parking lot ordeal I stated earlier. Driving up to the parking lot, just no parking spot. I mean, it's a hassle to try 10,000 of cars all in one area. With the motorcycle, you can fit about 4 different motorcycles in one parking spot. Well, what's that do? That opens up 4 other parking spots for other people. This can allow for a lot smaller parking lots in general on campus. Instead of having vast ranges of parking lot so we can fit cars, we can maybe build more buildings for school or advance our fields out there. Now I know many of you are thinking, well, how am I going to ride a motorcycle and come to school? I mean, I have bags to carry, books, computers. Well, there's a simple answer to that. Is basically all motorcycles have an attachment you can add to it. All of them are customizable. You can put on whatever you like. There's the saddlebags you can get on the side. You can get an actual trunk that extends out. It's like this big, a big container. You also can extend your back seat, and you can strap your backpack, strap stuff on. So I mean, there's many options you can do to actually allow for books and laptops to actually be carried. Another issue while driving a car is getting through traffic. I'm sure many of you have had a lot of issues, especially around here at Fullerton College in the morning, simply because we have a high school right next door. I don't know about you guys, but I remember at the beginning of the semester, it's a madhouse on the streets, small streets, too many people. And this challenge is shown by a statistic. The average United States drivers travel about 29 miles per day, and we're driving a total of 55 minutes per day. I'm sure this applies to most of us here in Southern California. We take commutes that are no longer than probably 40 minutes a day. And getting through traffic on a motorcycle is very simple, simply because your single lane you're used to as a car now advances into 3 separate lanes. So if you have 2 lanes there, well, that's turning into 3 lane, making it like a 6-lane highway you can get through. Using this, you can maneuver straight through cars a lot easier, and also this is used as a safety advantage when you're riding a motorcycle. As a motorcyclist, you learn many things about the road. You learn that the middle of the lane, there's a lot of oil, so you kind of stay out of there. But you can also learn that getting through traffic is easy and it's the safe way to ride a motorcycle. Even though you might save some time, let's talk about what everybody really thinks about: money. Now, whenever you jump in a car, I'm sure many of you look at that gas gauge in fear of seeing it hit that empty. I mean, I know whenever I drive a car, I was always curious hitting that E because I'm about to be ready to spend $40 or $60 depending on the gas prices. I looked up the current cheapest gas price in Southern California, and what was posted was Costco gas at $3.96 a gallon. That's pretty ridiculous. Now many are thinking, well, how much does a motorcycle actually save compared to a car? Well, for me being a car driver and a motorcycle rider, I know that on my motorcycle I spend about $8 a month on gas. That's driving to school, work, friend's house. It's not very much compared to when I had a car. I spent about $120 a month on gas. And I mean, I had a bigger engine car, but I'm sure roughly it's around what people spend. Now with that $8, my motorcycle, I was able to ride about 200 to 250 miles. So I mean, I ride a smaller engine bike, and motorcycles are just like cars. You can have a big engine car that blows through gas. You can have a big engine motorcycle like a Harley Davidson, blows through all the gas. And I wouldn't consider that for this short commute. I'm considering like a 250cc motorcycle, which is the smallest bike that's allowed on streets. And that, you get about 90 to 120 miles per gallon, depending on how heavy you are on the throttle. This also is good for any of those green goers out here because, I mean, our fuel is becoming an issue. It's depleting out very quickly, and you're using less fuel to get to the same places you want to be in a car. So, I mean, if everyone were to switch over to motorcycles, you would save some of the fuel, and maybe prices would decrease. Now for the fun part, safety. I mean, I'm not going to stand here and tell you that a motorcycle is just as safe as a car, because that's completely unrealistic. But a motorcycle has some opportunities for safety that a car does not have. First off, motorcycles have protective gear. You can have a helmet, you can wear a jacket that's armored, armored pants, armored boots, armored gloves. I mean, with all this, it's much more safe. It's similar to having a car, I mean, besides the metal cage around you. And all of the helmets and armor that you get is all approved. You have to have a special symbol on it that shows that you actually do, or has been tested in high speeds, high crashes. And so it normally works how it's supposed to. Very few helmets actually malfunction. Now, many of the stories people hear about, like a motorcycle rider, big car crash and he's dead. That's typically around the nation. Motorcycle riders not wearing a helmet, because basically not every state requires you to wear a helmet or protective gear. California requires you to wear a helmet, and I don't see why it wouldn't be very responsible to jump on something like this and go on no helmet, no gear. I mean, but that's the thing about motorcycle riders. Most of them are irresponsible. Most of them do not ride responsibly. If you take classes like I did, you are taught to ride responsibly, which does not consist of speeding, doing tricks, wheelies, showboating, I mean, and also driving under the influence. All these things can lead to horrible accidents. Now, motorcycleaccidents.org have a quote that says, "Little less than half of all motorcycle rider deaths are involved with no other vehicle." Now, this just shows the irresponsibility of most motorcycle riders. A little less than half, no vehicle at all involved. For those of you that would be riding a motorcycle for this purpose of short commuting to school and to work, I highly doubt you'd be riding irresponsibly. I don't know if any of you guys try to like pop up on two wheels while driving a car down the street. I highly doubt it, but if you're doing that, you probably should not ride a motorcycle. But by using the lane method I explained earlier, it opens up a lot of maneuverability. So that gives you a lot of safety, because for the motorcycle, you got two options when a car is turning in front of you. You either, one, hit the brakes, or two, dodge around them. Now, the basic natural reaction when someone's scared and there's a car popping out in front of you, you just hit that brake. On a motorcycle, you kind of have to stop that reaction, simply because how a motorcycle works is you have your right brake, which is like the front, and your back brake, which is your foot, and that's the back brake. It's like a mountain bike, basically, if anyone has ridden one. And what happens if you clench that front brake going really